Hey, it's good to have you back here with me again. Well, it's about time to get painting once more, so while the colors are flashing across the screen there for you, so you know what I'm using, let's take a look at the drawing that we have on the paper up here. I'm using 140-pound paper, and it's a much lighter paper than the 300-pound paper that I used to use, but it's also a lot more, well, conducive to drying quickly. The 300-pound paper dries a lot more slowly, which can sometimes make it a little harder to paint on for the uninitiated. So I realize now that maybe it's a little easier for people if I paint with something that has a little bit more, well, lightness to it in terms of weight. When we say 300-pound paper or 140-pound paper, that just means the weight of the actual paper roll that it comes from. Like, they actually make rolls that weigh about 300 pounds, and then they tear that piece of paper off that roll. And it's a much thicker paper, which doesn't absorb, well, it doesn't warp when it absorbs water. Whereas the 140-pound paper comes from a roll that's much thinner. So it tends to warp a lot more easily. Alright, let me get out my flat brush here. And you know what I want to do? I want to start off with some light colors. So I'm not going to paint the water right off. I'm just going to get my flat brush there ready. Because I like to use my flat brush to just paint in some water. And then I like to go with my other brushes and take care of business. Okay, so I'm just re-wetting my brush here because I got a lot of paint on it from the last painting session. And if there's a lot of paint on there, we can go ahead and just maybe wipe it off a little bit on the roll of toilet paper that we have, because I'm just using a roll of toilet paper for lifting and stuff. And in my bucket here, my water bucket, I have 3 wells in this water bucket. There's one well that I use for washing, another well I use for washing, and then one more well that I use just for painting. That way I usually have pretty clean water. Alright, let's get ourselves a little bit of let's get ourselves just the lightest sap green color we can. We're going to mix a little bit of the Nicolazo yellow with the phthalo green, okay? That's the way we're going to do it. Now we want to make sure that you have more than you think you need. It's always a good idea to have more than you think you need. Okay? And if you have to clean off the palette because your colors are a little dirty, well, by all means, go ahead and do that. I do that a lot, and we're doing it right now because these colors are a little too dirty. So go ahead, wipe off the colors. It's no big deal. Again, I'm just using toilet paper from an industrial grade roll. You know, the type that you see over at work that they put on there because they don't want you to have a nice time at work. They just want you to feel as miserable as possible all the time. That's how they do it at work. That's how they get you. You think you're getting the nice stuff? I got news for you. No, you're getting this stuff that's going to tear with one swipe. You got to fold it over 8 times to get it to work at all. That's just the way it is. You thought you were going to live the good life now that you got that high. No respect all the way up the food chain. Ain't that the truth? It's the American dream right there. Okay, let's go ahead and paint ourselves some little things up here, okay? Now, one of the things you want to do when you paint is try to control your water. Now, I've got a little bead of water that's kind of traveling all the way down here. So that's not what I would call a best case scenario, but it's the scenario we got. Alright? So let's go ahead. And if you get that bead of water that keeps traveling down, what you could do is you could swipe the flat brush on both edges right there, alright? You can swipe it on both edges of your well. Okay, so we got that. Let's go ahead and, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lay in that color. I told you I was going to get the lightest sap green color I possibly could. The lightest one, alright? Alright. Now look at that. Look at that. Okay. Now we'll just stop right there because maybe what we want to do is take down some of these edges a little bit. Okay. to go up here and swipe some of that away and take some color off. The nice thing about this nickel azo yellow is that when it's diluted with water, it turns into a very light green color. Okay? Or not nickel azo yellow, but nickel azo yellow with the phthalo green. Nickel azo yellow, when it's diluted with water, turns into a very light yellow. But when it's got a lot of the color on there, it becomes a much more muted yellow. It becomes a little bit more of a middle yellow than it is an orange yellow. But when you have a lot of it all at once, it's more of an orange, earthy yellow, kind of like a yellow ochre color. It's fascinating the way that works. Okay, so we got that there. What we're doing here is we're kind of just dabbing little areas here where we think there's going to be some sun. Here, let me adjust my easel here. There it goes. Make sure everything is nice and tight. There. That way we don't want any foolishness happening while we're trying to paint here. Okay? That looks pretty good. Okay, let's move on to our next lily pads here. Lily pads on the water. Just say it to yourself while you think about this. It sounds so peaceful, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it really does. It sounds nice. Going there, sitting by the lake and watching all the waves and the waves and things pass by. People on their paddle boats and stuff. The world is just going by. Ducks are in the water. They're paddling around looking for breadcrumbs that people throw in there because sometimes people like to feed the ducks. And maybe people are in the paddle boats and people are in their motorboats. Maybe some guys out there fishing. You never know. There's people who fish out there. I don't know if you knew that. In this particular lake, yeah, there's tons of fishing going on. All kinds of it. We don't want to miss that one right there. Yeah, we'll just get that little, duder right there. Now what do you say? We don't want to miss this spot. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. That's so nice. All right, we'll do the same thing now. We'll just take a little bit off. Yeah, just over here and maybe right here too. Yep, nothing to it. We're just taking off a little bit of the stuff that we don't really need that much. Like right here. Imagine there's a ridge on that lily pad where there's just a little bit more light hitting it, right? Okay. But leave enough color there that it really registers. You want to leave enough color behind. You want to take just enough color off. One of the nice parts about using colors like this, especially colors like phthalo green and all that business, is they stain a lot. So when we lift a color using our tissue paper or our toilet paper, I know I keep calling it tissue paper. I'm trying to class this up, but we all know what this is. This is DP right here. This is stuff you throw at people's houses when they give you bad candy or pennies on Halloween. You ever trick-or-treating like that when you go out and someone give you like the worst candy you could possibly ask for? Like they'd give you that candy that every kid can eat, like Nerds, because there's the one person on the block who's very conscious of the children who have food allergies and stuff like that. And most candies are made with peanuts, so a good candy to pass out would be something like Skittles or maybe Nerds or something. It doesn't cover all the bases, but it covers most of them. So it's a nice little thing just to have and to be conscious of. But anyway, when you were a kid, you'd see that candy and you'd go, "What is this? Ugh, who eats Nerds?" And then you'd get the TP out because God knows you're just carrying around TP in your sack along with all the candy that you're collecting. And you just throw it at someone's house. Throw it at the old lady's house who saw fit to give you a bunch of lousy candy. Poor old lady. I just gotta clean all that up later. Yeah. Oh dear. Childhood, such a funny thing. Yeah, memories like that are fun for the people who do them, and maybe not so fun for the people who get the DP. All right. Okay, man. I look at all these lily pads and I think about all the frogs that must be tempted to hop across them. Like maybe they see there's all these lily pads out here in the water, and there's, you know, lust in their eyes and desire in their heart, and they just gotta start hopping. Like they go hopping mad at the sight of all these lily pads like this out there. They can't hardly help themselves. There's a lily pad and it's not hopped on. What's wrong with the world? You know, lily pads aren't the only thing that frogs hang out on. I remember seeing some frogs, well, a frog, just hanging out on a rock once, trying to stay cool in the summer heat. Yeah, I know that feel. Reminds me of my cat kind of just hanging out on the linoleum floor because it's getting too hot in the summertime. She spends a lot of time on there, just either on her side or getting her belly on there, trying to cool herself off. Luckily, a lot of this painting is painting these lily pads here, so this is pretty easy work, honestly. It's not that bad. Most of what we're doing is just laying down this color here and letting a lot of the water do the work, but we're also doing a lot of the lifting work ourselves, so it's kind of a teamwork exercise between you and the paint. Watercolor is such a crazy medium. I say crazy because it's a little bit uncontrollable at times, and yeah, there's where that light comes in, and there's where it comes down right there, and that kind of hugs the edge right here. All right, maybe. Just a little bit of that right there. Maybe. Okay. Okay. Just a little bit right there. This hugs the edge. That will lift the edge over here. Look at that. It leaves just enough behind that we can move on and call it. Well, we're not going to call it a day. We still got a lot of painting left to do, don't we? Yeah, we do. Okay. This is very pleasant. You know, oftentimes you can just sit by the edge of the lake and just look out there, staring at the water, watching the world go by. It's one of those nice things to do. It's one of those places where out here you don't have to think about all the troubles, even though the troubles of the world are still out there. But it helps you get your mind off all the hard stuff. I think we could use a little bit more of that, trying to get our minds off of all these things that are happening to us. Be nice. Because there's a lot of stuff, and people have a hard time sometimes, and need to find a way to help each other out. Some people like to hang out in nature. Some people like to watch movies and stuff, and some people just need to be around other people, although that's a little difficult sometimes right now. What with, you know, the pandemic and all. Because this is filmed during a pandemic, in case you're watching this at some point in the future. And who knows? Maybe you are. Or maybe this has disappeared into the sands of time. Who knows? Okay, I really like the look of all these lily pads that we're getting right here. It's really simple to make a lily pad. You just want to remember to get that line down the middle and then maybe get a few of the edges, because what happens is that the lily pad bends, and so light reflects off different areas of it, and so it creates that unique look. So the edges always seem to get that light on them, and the middle of them always seems to get that heavy color, like so right here. Here's the heavy color. Okay. And what the heck, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and get some of these other parts right here. Yeah, we'll get some of these other parts, baby. That's what I'm talking about. We don't want to forget all these stems too. A lot of these stems are going to be the same color, so we don't want to forget them. But we got to get this color in there. Get the heavy color like right in there. Yeah. And don't forget this one too. Definitely want to leave them out. It's like all these lily pads are having a little get together, having themselves a little social on the waterfront. Isn't that the case? Wonder what kind of plans they're hatching. A lot of them together. Maybe they're just having a party. Maybe the frogs are invited. Maybe the lily pads are done teasing them with all their lily padness, and frogs are ready to get hopping on out there. Who knows? Who knows? What a delicate ecosystem. I bet if I read a book on nature, I'd know why. Yeah, I guess that would get to the bottom of things real fast, wouldn't it? Yeah, well, sometimes you just gotta educate yourself. Okay, we're just doing more of the same here. Luckily, this takes up a lot of space, so it's okay. Remember, you just want to follow the shapes, and this goes a lot faster if you draw your shapes accurately right off the bat. So spend a lot of time on your drawing. Try to get the drawing right before you start painting. I really can't emphasize enough how important it is you get the drawing right first. You don't want to go in with a half-baked drawing and then try to start painting, because you're going to be in real trouble then. You don't want to do that. No. You want to go in with a good drawing. That good drawing is going to get you real far, because it's going to make it a lot easier to just make some decisions as you go along. Where does this color go and where does that color go? Well, you don't have to figure it out right on the fly as long as you got the drawing right. Look at me. I'm only a few minutes into this painting. We've already got a lot of the lily pads painted. So I'd say we're on a pretty good track right now. This is getting a little dry, so I feel like maybe I should have gotten a little bit more water on that, but I'm not going to get more water on it for a reason. You probably think to yourself, well, if you need more water, why don't you add more water to it? Well, it's not that simple, because what happens with watercolor is if you, okay, that's getting a little dry there, but it's still doing what we want. There we go. Okay, we'll go down here too. All right, and then maybe right up in here. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll go right in there. Okay. There it goes. That was getting a little dry, and that actually might create a little bit of a glaze, but I still like that anyway. I'm going to leave that the way it is. Because sometimes you got to have bold color. One of the things that a lot of artists make a mistake on is that they leave things too light. And even when you've been painting a while, sometimes you paint things so much lighter than you should. I am guilty as charged of doing that. Making things lighter than I should be. See, look how dry that is. It's a little drier than I would like it to be, but it's not too bad. It's not the end of the world on that one. Thank goodness. Thank goodness for that. It'd be a real shame if the world just suddenly came apart at the seams because I didn't paint a lily pad right. Oh, you have no idea how much these lily pads rock my world. Apparently the fate of the entire universe hinges on how well I can paint lily pads today. Yeah, that's what we call some pressure right there. Now, what do you think? Should I go ahead and... I thought I got enough water in this one, but I'm still dry brushing a lot. Maybe I need to get my brush wetter. Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes if things don't go on super smoothly, you gotta get a little bit more water on your brush or on the paper. But, you know, it's a balancing act between two things. Too little water and you start dry brushing. Too much water and you start creating pools and puddles and all that good stuff. And maybe you want a pool or a puddle, but I'm not necessarily going for pools and puddles today. Yeah, I'm going to clean up these edges a little bit. Go around to the side right here. Just like that. And right there, we'll pick that up. Ooh, over here. There. And there it goes. Yeah, that's looking nice. Okay. I don't know why I washed that off. I didn't even get any paint on the flat brush. Here, let's get some water on that. That's better. We'll just get a little bit of the nickel azo yellow. One of the tricks that I do is I keep two of the same color in the same well, or two different colors in the same well, I should say. So right here I've got nickel azo yellow, and I've got the phthalo green, and they're right next to each other in the same well. So it makes it a lot easier for me to go get some more paint and stuff. So I don't have to go and clean my brush off and go into another well and clean my brush off and keep doing all that stuff, and it's too much. you really want to, one of the biggest tricks I do, and I might show this to you some other time in a separate instructional. I haven't decided yet. Well, I might show you exactly how I do all the mixing on here, because it can be a little tricky to pull off. And some people are really puzzled, I think, by the way. Some of you viewers out there are a little puzzled by the way that I operate when I paint these things. That's okay. That's okay. It's okay to be a little confused when you first start out, because you gotta remind yourself, you're just starting out. You're not a really experienced painter at this point. So it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay not to know everything. And it's okay to ask questions. Remember that. There's no shame in being a little ignorant when you're starting out. Being ignorant isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's when you should know better that being ignorant is a bad thing. That's the difference. Everybody's a little ignorant when they're first starting out. But as you gain knowledge, you get better and better, and you start to gain knowledge, and then you become a lot less ignorant. Then you become knowledgeable. And I don't have to tell you that. I don't have to tell you that. You already know. You already know, don't you? You already got your head wrapped around this, I know. Maybe you don't know exactly how to paint quite yet, but you got your head in a good place so you can get started. Yeah. Well, a little bit of psychology is half the battle in painting. Because sometimes you want to defeat yourself before you even get started. And that's no good. You know how they say artists can be their own worst critics? Yeah, it's true. You can really beat yourself up over a painting even when you shouldn't. Now, what I'm going to do right here, I'm actually just going to lift this whole thing right here. Okay. And we're especially going to go down near the bottom right there. And down near these sides. Yeah, there it goes. And we'll, yeah, maybe that particular lily pad's been eaten a little bit by, maybe one of the frogs had himself a little snack on his way across to the other side. He was just hopping over here and he got tied right around this one, so he decided, ate right there and then hopped over before it started sinking. That's why it's bending so much. Well, suppose the good Lord does provide, doesn't he? Yep. Even for hungry animals. Okay, I'm just gonna paint some of these things right here. Now we're gonna glaze over a couple of those things right there. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna glaze over that. Yeah, we might as well get this one over here, because why not? Okay. Now look how far along we are. I'd say we're in an awfully good place. I don't want to take anything off that one, I don't think. No, that one I kind of want to keep right where it is, but this one, ooh, yeah, that one we can take some of the extra off these edges. Okay, there it goes. That's looking real nice. And then we'll go over here and we'll just paint a little. Am I getting that wet at all? It's hard to tell sometimes. These synthetic brushes, they don't hold a lot of water. I use a mixture of synthetic brushes and natural hairs. And natural hairs are a little more, well, user-friendly in a lot of ways. They have their differences, but one is that a natural hair brush holds a lot more water, whereas a synthetic brush generally doesn't hold that much water, which can make it a little hard to paint depending on what you're trying to do. Now there are synthetic and natural blends that split the difference, so they can hold a decent amount of water, but they also spring right back into place. Natural hairs tend to bend to your will a little bit more. So if you're not into the whole, bending the brush bristles any which way you want and making them do what you need to do, well, then you might not like the natural hairs so much. But if you like that, and you want to be able to have a little bit more control over your watercolors, it's worth your time to go ahead and look into a little bit of some natural hair brushes. Okay. You know what I feel like doing? I feel like going around that right there. Oh yeah. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that's looking smart right there. Okay. That's not bad at all. Okay, let's go ahead and here. Let's get some of these little things on the side. Okay. Let's get these stems that are kind of just shooting all over the place. Now we can do this with a liner brush, or we can do it with a flat brush. Whichever really floats your boat. You might have a little bit more control with a liner brush, but I like the way that the flat brush kind of has that uniform width about it. Makes it a little easier to go ahead and get these things. Okay, we'll just dab away at these so that it's mostly a lighter green color. Okay, that looks nice. That looks nice. Now it's right there. And are we missing anything? Oh well, actually we're missing lots of stuff. Don't kid yourself. We got lots of stuff we can get there. Okay, and maybe right here. One right there. Okay. I can actually put that brush down. I don't need to carry that brush with me. I have no idea why I even am. Okay. Now one of the big things that you want to keep in mind while you're painting watercolors is that you want to get the light colors first. So naturally, well, what's one of the lightest colors? One of the lightest colors is, of course, yellow or yellow-green color like this. This might be the lightest color on there. Okay, so let's go ahead and dab our way through this. Any place that it looks particularly dark for some reason. Maybe we want a little bit more color on this one because maybe it's underwater. Yeah, maybe it's underwater. Why not? Okay. Yeah, that looks nice. Yeah, that looks nice. Here, let's go across. Get some of these. Get some of these. Come on, there it goes. Okay. Alright. Yeah, maybe right about here. Alright, I think we might have gotten all the stems and all the lily pads now. So with that we can go ahead and rinse off our flat brush. And there you saw the rare time that we actually use the flat brush for painting instead of just putting down water. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, it is. Okay. So what do we want to do next? What do we want to do next? Ooh, I think I know. But I'm going to have to clean off my palette a little bit because things are getting a little messy on here. Things are getting a little messy. Yeah. There it goes. I'm feeling a little bit of, let's get out our round brush. I use a natural hair round here, and I'm not going to swing it to a point just yet. I have a technique I use, but I don't need to use it right now. Right now, what I really want to do is take some Pyro Orange, Nicolazo Yellow, and I want more Pyro Orange on this one. Okay? So, right about in here, let's take some water. Right about in here, we're going to lay down a little bit of a wash right here. That might actually be too much water. Okay, but we're going to lay this down. Okay. You got to be careful and watch out for drips, okay? It's not so bad when you've got want to do that. Take off just a little bit of the edge there, okay? And maybe we've got some other colors over here that we can swing in. There it goes. And, you know, we can go ahead and insert a few more things over here too. There. Just little floating pieces of seaweed and stuff in the water. That's all that is. Alright. Now, we'll take some quinacridone magenta here because we got something of a light pink color that we need to put in. There's one right here. Okay. There's one right here. And there might be one kind of just right in between some of the petals over there. It's one of those things that's a little hard to define what's really going on in there, I think. But you know, what happens when I see masses that I don't necessarily understand, I just paint them anyway. Because maybe I'll be able to understand them later, and then I'll realize, oh, so that's why that was there. And then it'll just be a fascinating bit of trivia for later. So don't let it bother you too much if you don't know what everything is, because I definitely don't know what everything is all the time. I just kind of let myself have fun with it. Okay. So right here, we're going to do a little bit more of the same, I think. We're going to take some of the Nicolazo yellow with this color right here. For this shape right here. And we're going to just paint that stem all the way down to about here. Okay. Now, definitely if we add some detail to that, we're going to need the liner brush to make that happen, because that was a tricky situation right there. Woo! Woo! Oh, you know things are getting hard when I start hooting like an owl. It's one of those things where, whew, when it starts happening, you know. Okay. Well, maybe let's go in here and start painting a few more abstract ideas. Maybe up in here, there's a little bit more orange in that edge. We can glaze some stuff over that later. Just a little bit later. Okay. You know what I want? You know what I want? Here. This is the point where I'm going to swirl this out. I'm going to hold my brush by the tip, by the handle. Okay? I'm going to spin it around, but I'm not going to do it here, else I'm going to get you all wet. And you don't have a splash guard, do you? Should have brought one. Anyway, I'm going to swirl it around. After I swirl it around, it has a nice little point on it, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Got a nice point on there. That's the goal right there. Okay. So let's take some of this quinacridone magenta, and right here, we'll paint some of these little things in here. Little things in there that we might not necessarily understand why we're painting them, but we're painting them. Okay. And then we'll get some quinacridone magenta with the pyro orange and mix ourselves a red, because guess what? If you mix a red, orange, and a magenta color together, you get red. I never knew that I could mix red when I was in school, because they always told us, oh, red's a primary color. You can't do that. You can't mix primary colors. Well, it turns out you kind of can. You kind of can. You can mix a blue, you can mix a red. Can't really mix a yellow, though. Well, you sort of can, but not a very good yellow. If you mix pyro orange and phthalo green together, you get kind of a dull, really dull yellow color. If you look for it hard enough. That's the caveat right there. You gotta really look for it. You gotta believe in it. Okay. All right, with that ruby red color, we're gonna go up in here. just to take off the edge a little bit. And go in here and maybe just give these a little bit of edge right there. There it goes. Okay, that's looking nice. That's looking nice. Here we'll go down here with this too. These little red details, fascinating. Yeah, red's a really fascinating color. Such a dark value, so much darker than you think it would be. Because you look at red and you think, oh, it's a bright red, but then you put it next to a light color and you realize, wow, that's a lot darker than most of the colors I have here. Okay. And over here, like I said, this is just a big old mass of stuff. There's a big old collection. There. That's not looking bad at all. Alright. Alright, we can go ahead and I think and start looking at some more oranges real quick here. Maybe over here we'll get some of these. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And, ooh, I almost forgot this one over here. See, all these little things kind of just sneak up on you. They kind of just sneak up here, but we'll find them all. We'll find them piece by piece if we gotta. Okay. Alright. That's not bad at all. Alright. Let's take some of the red color that we have here with the pyro orange and the quinacridone magenta, and we can just ride this down the whole way. Okay. And there it goes. There it goes. See, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad, was it? Here. A few more details. There's lots of little details we can get. And they kind of just sneak up on you. Alright. Well, I think we might be getting to the point where we're going to be working really wet and wet pretty soon. Here, let me get my yellow color wet here. Because I feel like there's going to be one instance of a color that's going to really trip us up. It's going to be right about here. There it goes. Okay. That's good. No, we don't have to lift too much of that. That's pretty good. Maybe, you know what we might want to do is we might want to find a little bit of an earthier kind of orange color with our Nicolazo yellow and our quinacridone magenta, and we'll mix that together. You know, we use that color a lot, the quinacridone magenta with the the Nicolazo yellow. All right, let's go in here. Oops, that's not wet enough. Oh man, that was really dry, wasn't it? Oh, that was almost really upsetting for a second. That's okay. We got this. And what we can do with a lot of this right here is, because it's kind of a weed, it's going to have lots of little bits on it that have lots of texture. So we'll kind of just brush out some strands here. Alright. Look how much earthier that's already looking. And that's really the point right there. This is a drier technique. is it necessarily dry brushing? Not really, because dry brushing means you're kind of dragging the brush along. But you could arguably label it dry brushing regardless, because we're putting it on dry paper, which is a whole thing. There's different techniques you can use in watercolor that make it, well, more watercolory. And the big one is painting wet and wet, which can be easier said than done at times, because painting wet and wet is a very stressful technique. You got to take your time learning it, and a lot of the time when you do learn it, it's a trial by fire technique. Oh goodness. All right. Okay. Let's take a look here. Are we missing anything? Are we missing anything? I don't know if we're missing anything, but I think I'm going to get some pyrrole with ultramarine here. Yeah, that's right. We're going to get ultramarine in this. Normally we wouldn't get a color like ultramarine in on this, but we kind of, it feels like we kind of have to, because I want the water to be a little bit more violet, but I also need this pyrrole color in here to make it work. So there's just going to be a little bit of texture on the water. You know, sometimes you gotta work with the hands you're dealt, and there's just not much you can do to get around it. Okay, so let's just go ahead right about here. Actually, let me wet this first. I'm gonna feel better if I wet it. And a little bead of water on there now. Let's go ahead right here. Okay. That's a little better. All right. And maybe over here we've got a few things we can do. Maybe we can take some more of that color, get it right here. One of the fun things about watercolors, you can also do this sort of thing and go over it again later on. Like you can actually do two glazes like this, two bleeds, and go back over the entire thing. I can do a bleed like this, and I can do a bleed on the other side with a completely different color, and then both of them will mix together. It really helps if the colors are staining colors when you do that. It makes it a lot easier to pull it off. Believe me on that one. Oh, there's nothing easy about watercolor painting in general. That's the truth. That's the truth. Okay. You know what I might do here is I might go in right about, I'm going to take a little bit of water off that brush right there. I'm going to go in with some of this right about here. Okay. I'm going to take the pyrrole with the ultramarine, of course. I'm going to get a little bit more ultramarine than I was using on the colors above. Okay. Then over here, I'm going to take, you know what, I should probably get my other brush for this. This is getting to be work that's much too big for a liner brush. And I got to be careful now because I might create a bloom, but this is how we do it. There it goes. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and get some more ultramarine in here. Now, ultramarine and pyrrole are going to be the colors of the day for this particular section. Okay, there it goes. Look how the color's already starting to disappear a little bit in there. We can go in here and add some more ultramarine near the edge right there. And that doesn't look bad. Let's just go ahead and let these colors mingle. That's what I'm feeling right now. Yeah, I'm feeling the mingle. I'm feeling the mingle. Okay. And maybe we'll go in here and just take down a little bit of water right there. Whew. That's how you know we're having a hard time right now, because we're hooting like an owl, and I'm trying to keep control of this. Yeah, this is like I said, it's a difficult medium to keep control of. You're going to struggle with it. There are going to be some tough battles, but eventually you're going to get it. Eventually you are. There. Let me see if I can... There. I gotta remember to color inside the lines. That would definitely help, wouldn't it? I'll say. Good Lord. Whew. That's better. Let's take a little bit more of the pyro over here. And let's just... In fact, we might be able to take a little bit of the pure pyro. Just a pure color right here. And then, since this color is mingling, we'll just go in right there. Well, that looks a little dry. Oh boy, that paper is already dried up a little bit. Oh boy. Having a moment where it feels like you can't win. Here. Okay. I need to get a little bit more water in here. Be very careful with your water. If you're not careful with your water, you'll create blooms. I'm already doing it. I'm already doing it. Okay. Let's go ahead right now. And maybe take some of the edge out of there. We're getting some fascinating effects right here, aren't we? Be very, very gentle with this. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Whew. Stressful technique, I know. Such a stressful technique. Okay. Alright, we'll go down in there. And we'll take a little bit more. We'll take a little bit more of the pyro over here. Okay. Alright, and we'll go right down there. Get some of that. Okay. How about we go down in here and figure out what color we want this to be. Alright. Let's say over in here. Yeah, it's not bad. ultramarine in the mix. Now the pyrrole is a very strong color, so you have to be a little careful with it, especially when you're mixing with the ultramarine like this. Okay. There it goes. And I'm just going to lightly dab at it. Okay? Lightly dab at it. There. There. Now, let's go in here and paint this section next. Oh dear. Yeah, a little bit of a drip never hurt anybody, right? It's funny that it doesn't hold all that much water, but it always seems to get enough water to cause a drip on the canvas. Not the canvas, but the paper. I know I'm thinking in terms of canvas right now, probably because I'm painting this completely upright, which is a very, very silly way to paint, by the way. I don't know that I would recommend ever doing it. But it's the way we're painting right now, so this is what we got to work with. Okay. I'll get some ultramarine here. I want a lot of ultramarine on this, okay? And then, yeah. The light is coming from the right. It's coming this way. Okay. So as we go up, we can go ahead and create some things in here. Maybe we'll take some of the pyrrole over here and slip it into the edges over here. There. Oh yeah, that's not bad. Okay. Now we'll get the ultramarine back again and go up in here. Okay. Now, while we still have time, it's important because we need time to do this. We'll just go back in, lift a little bit of that. Okay. And if there's a little bit of texture, go ahead and just take it off. That way, we still got everything that we need in there, but we also got all the stuff that we don't need off. Oh, quite a technique, isn't it? Yes, I know. If you have a hard time with this technique, just take it slow. Maybe try it out on another piece of paper before you really go in and have at it. Because I know how tough it can be. If it's too much for you to handle. Just take it slow. Try it out a few more times on some other stuff. Something that isn't going to use up a whole bunch of your paper and all that. Your good paper. Okay. There it goes. Alright. Just toss that TP away for right now. Look at this. Look how far we've actually gotten with all this. We've already gotten probably about a third of the water done at this point. So, you know what? We're going to go big now. Oh boy. Yeah, I know. Oh boy. This is going to get ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, it is. This is going to get real silly. Look how big this section is. This is absurd. No one in the right mind should paint a big old section like this. Do we have enough water on here? I don't know. I can't see if the light is shining on it, so it's a little difficult for me to make out. But if we don't, we'll just slap some paint on there anyway, and we'll figure it all out later. That's how we've been doing things up to this point, right? Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, it's pretty much how we've been doing things. Okay. Oh, that might be a little wet. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. There it goes right in there. Oops. Getting a little careless up there, aren't I? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Alright. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Now, let's say we continue. There it goes. And right at the top of the painting here is where I think I want the purest blue color to be. I don't want there to be a bunch of, pyrrole in there or anything. I want it to be a real nice blue color. I think that would be just splendid. Okay. Okay. Alright, we need to get more water in this, because this is drying up. It is so difficult to get enough water on this paper. This paper is terribly absorbent. You know what I had to do is I had to get some paper that was not the usual paper that I use because of the pandemic. Okay? And, well, the usual paper that I use, the color glides on a lot better usually. And I don't have as much trouble wetting the paper and getting it to stay wet. This paper is a constant struggle, it seems like. Well, anyway. You know what they say, a poor craftsman blames his tools, but I'm going to make it work regardless. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. Now we're going to go along here, get that pyrrole. And then we're going to go along into a few places. Maybe not quite so heavy-handed. Okay. Don't want that to drip. Okay. And we'll get this right here, and maybe a little bit more of this right in here. Okay. And maybe we'll start lifting some of this. Okay. Add a little bit more pyrrole right here. What we're doing is just looking for places where the water is going to be a little bit more uneven, And the water is going to be a little bit more uneven and all that. There. We don't want it to look like there's a whole bunch of weird looking brush strokes and everything. So we'll go in here. We'll go in here. There it goes. There it goes. Whew. There it goes. got that out of the way. Oh, that was a tough wash, wasn't it? Well, oops. If it drips like that, try not to let it bother you too much. Try not to let it bother you. Just clean it up. Clean it up and move on with your life. Whew. Alright. Now, let's go in here into this next section. Actually, let's just go ahead and take it easy in this one for right now. We got the really, really hard part done, so that's not going to be too bad. That's not going to be too bad. Alright. So one of the things about watercolor painting is you can paint all this stuff all at once, or you can, or you can just go in and get it one and done in a big old wash like this. Now, the thing about that is that it can be very difficult to do the wash. But sometimes you have no choice but to do the wash. So you're in between that proverbial rock and the hard place as to what you want to do, because there's only one way you can get certain effects, and well, wash is often that way. Okay. You notice when we get darks and stuff on here that there's often a little bit of an orange, or not an orange, but a kind of a violet-y kind of color that kind of surrounds all the foliage and stuff, all these lily pads. There it goes. That's all I got to say about that. Okay. Alright, let's go in here and get this section. This is going to be a lot of this is going to be a lot of, ooh, we got a little bit of fleck in there. Well, we're just going to leave that the way it is, because that doesn't look too bad. That's what we call a happy little accident right there. Yeah. I remember someone trying to teach what a happy accident was. It's hard to teach what a happy accident is, because a happy accident is just an accident. It's an accident. It just happens, and that's what that happened right there. That got in there and added a little bit more texture to our piece. Boom. Happy accident, because it accidentally happened. I didn't necessarily intend for that to happen. That'd be impressive if I really intended for that. I wish I could claim credit. No, that was just me being a total klutz. Alright, let's get along the edges right here. Now let's lift this so it has about the same value as the other segments that we painted. Okay. That's looking good. Looking good. All right. Now let's go in with some of our color right here. There's no sense in getting this. There's no sense in getting it all wet and everything, because a lot of it is just going to be very small. So it seems like a little bit of a waste to go in here. And, I don't know what that was. There it goes. Not bad. Not bad. Alright. What do you say we wet this section and we're going to do more of the same? This is really all it is. We wet the paper, especially these big sections, then we lay in these sections of color. Okay. And controlling your water, man. Controlling your water is one of those things it's a real demon to do. It's a devil thing. This is a devil business right here. That's what this is. It's more ultramarine, more pyro orange. That's all this color is that we're putting in right now. Ultramarine, pyro orange. That's all there is to it. Okay. That's all there is in there. And let's see if we get a little bit of pyro there. And we go along this edge. Boom, we got some stuff going on there. Maybe we got some stuff going on here. You never know. Maybe there's stuff happening there. Who knows? Maybe there's all kinds of little things happening near the edges and stuff. Stuff that makes all these edges pop out. It's interesting like that, right? Alright. Yeah. There it goes. And we lift it. And now it's about the same value. Okay. Alright. How's this doing over here? Yeah, we can lift that. That's doing alright. Okay, let's go down in here. Get this little section. I just imagine now the water coming in and out. The frog on the lily pad looking down, trying to decide where the best splash is. Maybe they're in the shallow end and they decide, maybe it's time to get off of here. So they hop in the water. And one side turns purple, the other side turns a little bit orange. And everyone thinks, oh boy, that frog's got magical powers there. But nah, turns out it's just me painting. They're trying to figure out, well, what's he trying to do there? He's looking silly. Yeah, I know. Looking silly is just one of those things that I do. Frog's got a lot of room to talk about silly looking things. What with it going, rivet and hopping all over the place. It'd be just like me to get in an argument with a frog. A frog with too much attitude. Those frogs, sometimes you gotta let them know what's up. These are my lily pads, I claim them. Looks at me in the eye while I'm out here in the water. He just says, well, what are you going to do about it? You going to reach over here and grab me? You can't. What, are you going to swim over here? I'll hop away before you can even reach me. And then I stop him and realize, he's right. There's nothing I can do. He's got me. But I just maintain a straight face, so he doesn't know that I'm defeated. You know, technically he kind of does. You can see it in my eyes, because I'm bad at poker. Oh goodness. Alright, we got some more violets in here. We're getting close to being done with these violets, but it is, oh, the completion is going to feel so nice on this one. Because painting water effects like this requires a lot of wet and wet. I don't know if you knew that, but it's true. It does. Here we need blue. Okay. Okay. I got this. Trying to convince myself. Yeah, I do that. Okay, that's very, very dark right now. So we want to try to tone this down in accordance with the rest of the composition. Okay. There that goes. Now let's go in here. Get a little bit more ultramarine to the pyrrole on this. Okay. That's not too bad. That's actually a nice looking glaze right there. Here. Yeah, I didn't want to cover up the stem like that. Here's a nice little section right here where we can cover that up. This. Maybe there's little sections in here we can cover up a little bit. Okay. This one right here. Sometimes when you get really into the painting and you get into a certain focus, it's a little harder to talk about these things. But we are entering, I guess what you could call it, the zone where your concentration doubles down. You try to focus on what you're doing. Okay. So now let's go ahead and clean up some of this stuff with a few marks here and there for a few of the things that we haven't quite gotten down yet. Like over here, maybe we got some ultramarine on one of our colors. Alright. So that guy right there, but we'll give him a little dab up here just to lighten him up a little bit. And we'll go with some red right here. Some quinacridone magenta on that. actually. There. That's better. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and add a little bit more water with the necklazo yellow and the quinacridone magenta. And look for some places where we haven't quite done everything that we need to, like maybe right here. Maybe, I don't know, where's another little place? Maybe right there. Maybe right down here. Maybe there's some stuff hiding in here, like that. Yeah, maybe there's some stuff hiding in there. Okay. Maybe there's all kinds of little things. All kinds of little things you can do. You know what I might do is take the Nicolazo yellow with the quinacridone magenta and make kind of a darker red color right here. It just kind of gives us a little bit of extra oomph over on these sides. Maybe they need a little something over here. That's good. So the Nicolazo yellow again. And create a little brown color right here. Okay. Oops. Yeah. Alright. You're right there too. There it goes. Okay. Now we can maybe go in here with some Pyrrole. And put a little extra oomph on some of the things that we've already done here. Like maybe there's a little orange right there and a little orange right here. Little oranges over into here. I don't know. Seems like there's all kinds of little oranges just kind of hanging out over in here. Yeah. We can cover up a few things over here too. Let's think about maybe adding a little bit more detail on some of these lily pads here. I think what I want to do is take some of the phthalo and the quinacridone magenta. I want a little bit more phthalo on here. A little bit more phthalo. Okay. Now let's take our liner brush to do this one. Alright, and we'll just go right around here. And I don't know, we'll cover up that right there. And maybe some little details right there, and maybe we got one little thing right here. Okay. Cover up those stems right there, and then it's gonna shoot out right there, and then okay. just this little olive green color. All it is quinacridone magenta, nickel azo yellow, and the phthalo green. There's another one right here. Imagine that maybe they're covered in shadow a little bit, or maybe they're starting to dip down in the water, and you know, stuff, they're getting a little covered up and getting a little harder to see them. And oh, you know, here, let's get this guy all covered up right here. Yeah, look at that poor guy. He's getting all covered up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Who knew? Who knew this would be it for him? Here. Go in there and get some of that color on there. Maybe right there. Yeah, right there too. Oops. Well, it's just some more of the quinacridone magenta anyway, so I accidentally got my red color into what I was working with. Okay. Alright. Here, let's take some more of this nickel azo yellow color. Actually, we can go ahead now and get just some more pure yellow. And we'll just go right along these edges right here. Okay. Okay. There it goes. And then we'll lift that color up. And then just marvel at how much brighter it is after the fact. Okay. Here, we might want to tear off a new piece of toilet paper for this. And we'll go all over. Okay. There it goes. We don't want to do a ton more to this painting, I don't think. I think we've got enough stiff that we've got done to it. We're just adding some things. I think a little yellow would definitely make this sparkle a little bit more. I just want to show you what I mean by how nickel azo yellow, when it's all bunched up and everything, when it's not spread real thin, it's going to look a lot darker than it does when it's all spread out. And how much lighter it gets when you lift it up a little bit, like just so. Just like that. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. Now, we'll go in here and down in here. And just like that. And we can add a few more reds in there in a second. We can do some stuff here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm just taken aback by how good this yellow looks. Oh my goodness. Here it comes. Just like that. All there is to it. Here. There's another spot where I want to add some more reds in a second. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Again. here. Okay. Notice that I'm keeping my brush pretty dry on this one. Yeah, that's on purpose. Like wherever it's real concentrated is where I want to take my color. Alright? I don't want to mess with that in it. I want that behind that little pad behind it to be a little duller. Okay. We should also probably add a little bit of shadow on that. Okay. Oh, how do I feel about that? I don't know. I don't know. I probably already added some yellow, but you know what? We'll add a little bit more. Okay. God, I just cannot get enough water on here. I'm telling you, natural hairbrushes are really the way to go for this sort of thing. There it goes. I should just get my round brush out and forego the skinny hair, the liner brush. that's really not right out of skinny hairs. What am I doing? Skinny hairs. I am the silly hairs is more like it. I'm dreadfully silly. Yeah. There it goes. Alright. So now let's go ahead and think about, well, let's take our liner brush and using our Pyrrole orange and our quinacridone magenta, we can go into all kinds of little areas right here and, you know, give it some character with the, yeah, we'll do it that way. Now where else was there going to be some? There's going to be some right in here. Yeah, this is, a good way to do that is just like dry brushing and stippling and stuff. Pretend it's like a pen and just mark it up right there. There it goes. Like that, and maybe there's a little bit more down here. Add a little detail in there. Maybe there's a little bit of something up in here. Who knows? Maybe there's just little designs that are on the lily pads when you see them floating in the water like this, like that. Yeah, like that. Okay. Just a little bit like that, right there. Okay. Yeah. Maybe there's one right here, one right there. Okay. Don't be afraid of this. Don't be afraid of this. It's real scary to do this type of thing, you know. Oops. Oh, that's a pretty one. Here, we can take that down if we want, but not too much because it's a really standing color. It doesn't really come up all that much. Okay. Yeah, use a light touch when you do this. Otherwise, you're gonna get a big old mark like that, which can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. Okay. All right. It depends on your point of view. All right. So let's go into the Pyrrole right here and just there. There's that one right there. And maybe we got another one right there. We'll just cover it up. And maybe we'll just, okay. That's one way to do it. One way to do it. Just let it do its thing. Some of these colors are really opaque. Some of them are really transparent. Here, let's go into our Pyrrole and our, God, I can't get any water on this liner brush. There. Now, any spaces that you see, just go ahead and fill them in with that purple color. And keep your rag nearby so that you can tone these down a bit. Maybe you want to add a little bit of something on them. There it goes. There it goes. There it goes. every so often you'll see in between some of these things, like you'll see all these little growths here. You'll see a little patch of water like that, and it'll be real dark and all that, because there's a lot of shadow being cast down on it. Okay. Maybe right about here. Okay. If you ever feel like you need to put an outline down, just go ahead and do it. Outlines are not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of art teachers will portray them as a bad thing. But honestly, an outline is as useful a tool as anything else. They can help define form in an awful hurry. It's one of the things I really like about outlines like this. And you can always, take them down a notch like that if you really want to. Depends what you're going for. Now right here, we're starting to get to the nitty-gritty of all this. Maybe we want one of these over in here. There. Well, this is a fascinating exercise, isn't it? Yeah, I'll say. Fascinating exercise in wet and wet, as well as glazing, but primarily wet and wet, I think. Let me see. Do we have anything else we could possibly do here, or else, without screwing up the painting, of course? Ooh, we can add a little bit more red right in here. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad out here. We can give this guy a little bit of something too. I like giving these guys the little touches like that. Maybe, okay, yeah, we'll give him a beauty mark. Yeah, that's what these are. These are beauty marks. Lid pads. You know, they got a date with a frog, don't they? Yeah, well, there's someone for everyone, that's what I say. I'm getting my brush turned around here. Let's get a few more of these up in here. Okay. And then, you know what? Let's go ahead and just get maybe a few more of these. And where else is there anything else that needs to be more clearly defined? A little bit more right here, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Alright. Just like that. There it goes. Alright. Alright, maybe right here too. Alright. I feel like we've just about got ourselves a finished painting here. So, enough fussing with this. Let's go ahead now and, well, let me get one more. Yeah, that's good. That's a fun little edit. That's a fun little thing to add. Oh, I just can't. I got a problem here. I can't stop myself right now. These little red things, these little red additions, just add so much. They make it look so pretty. Anytime you got any doubt about what to add to your painting, you can just add a few of these in here, and it'll really fix things up. It just looks so nice next to those grains. It really adds a lot of attention. Really adds a lot of. Well, it can really make people focus on what you're doing here. You know. Yeah, really draws the eye, doesn't it? Here we can add a little bit of red over here too. Yeah, all those little flashes of red add a lot. There it goes. Alright, that's probably about enough. Let's go into our Pyro Red now. We don't really use this to paint with. We just use it to sign signatures because I don't really like Pyro Red that much. But we'll just add a little bit of a signature. The initials right there. And your signature can be as big. Well, don't make it too big. But it can be anything you want. It can be your first name, your whole name, your last name, your initials, pseudonym, whatever you want. Go nuts with it. And with that, I believe we're finished for today. So I think it's about time for me to leave you. I really hope you enjoyed this, and I think you're going to get a lot out of it. It's a good exercise to practice your wet and wet painting. And believe you me, it is a challenge. It is a challenge. But the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So go ahead and challenge yourself and see what you can come up with. Anyway, it's about time for me to head out. So until next time, with love from me to you, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.